Have you ever, really thought about the foundations of society, these ancient structures?
It definitely shapes so much, even today.
Well, today we're diving into one of the big ones,
Mm.
the Hindu caste system, specifically the historical position of the Shudras.
And for that, we're looking at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's work, Who Are the Shudras? It's a really searching book.
It really is. Ambedkar asks this fundamental question. Who were the Shudras originally? How did they end up, at the bottom?
It's a huge question.
Yeah. Now, the traditional view, the one you often find in older texts, suggests they were born from the Creator's feet, meant to serve.
And crucially, barred from things like Vedic study, spiritual practices, things essential for status.
Exactly. But Ambedkar, he completely challenges that.
He does. His argument, and we'll unpack this, is that Shudras were actually, well, they were Kshatriyas originally, warriors, rulers.
Oh, wow. So how did they fall?
Through social conflict, he argues. Systematically pushed down, excluded. We're getting right to the heart of his inquiry today.
Okay, let's get into it. Ambedkar doesn't mince words about the caste system itself.
No, he calls it a system of graded inequality, not, some kind of balanced social cooperation.
Graded inequality.
Yeah.
That's powerful. He lays out the hierarchy, doesn't he?
Yes, Brahmin at the very top, then Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra at the base.
And it's critical to understand this isn't just about who does what job.
Not at all. It's about status, fundamental rights, even recognition of shared humanity. It dictates everything.
And Ambedkar points to specific damaging outcomes for Shudras.
Oh, absolutely. The denial of Vedic education, which for listeners was basically the key to religious learning, social mobility.
Vital stuff. And the sacred thread ceremony.
Barred from that, too. A key rite of passage completely denied, essentially cutting them off from spiritual advancement recognized by the system.
It sounds like total social and, spiritual disempowerment.
It really does, and this gets at why understanding the origin was so important for Ambedkar.
Why was that? More than just history.
Oh, definitely. For him, it wasn't just academic. It was about finding the roots of injustice to, build a just future, reclaiming dignity.
Right. You can't fix something if you don't know how it broke. So what about the explanations given for their status, the traditional ones?
Well, you have the Brahmanic explanation, often citing texts like the Manu Smriti.
And what does that say?
It often suggests Shudras came from unions between higher caste men and lower caste women, mixed unions.
Implying some kind of impurity from birth.
That's the implication, yes. It was used to justify their degraded status.
How did Ambedkar react to that?
He rejected it completely, outright. Called it morally repugnant, but also historically baseless.
So not just wrong, but actively harmful.
Precisely. He saw that narrative as serving power, justifying the hierarchy, not reflecting any kind of historical truth.
So he's saying basically, forget the myths, look at the history.
Exactly. Use critical analysis. He believed the real explanation wasn't divine will or birth impurity, but, political struggle, conflict.
It's a call to look at power dynamics then.
Yes. These initial points really set the stage. The system is fundamentally unequal, and the traditional stories justifying it. Ambedkar says they don't hold water.
So the core idea we're starting with is that the Shudra's position isn't inherent. It's a result of history, of injustice.
That's his central argument right from the outset. Historical injustice, not inherent inferiority. It completely reframes the narrative.
It really does. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It does. And maybe a final thought for you listening. Consider the implications. What if a group currently seen as low or marginalized actually has a history of being powerful, of being rulers?
What does that shift in perspective mean for how we understand today's social structures?
Exactly. And how does it affect the stories we tell ourselves about why things are the way they are? Digging into Ambedkar's work really opens up these complex questions.